Muscatine, and welcome to the Muscatine Today show with two chicks and a Chris. Brian, Danny, Chris is back there. Great rainy weather like always.
Well, it's good that we got some decent weather this year. A couple of years back, we had a heck of a snowstorm that day, and I think maybe last year or the year before then it was 90 degrees. So it's nice to have weather where the kids can actually wear their costumes and the people in the homes can see them. And I think tonight will be a good night for that. We typically go down. A bunch of us hang out at a buddy of mine's house in Fruitland. Tonight I got a bull, so I'm not going to be able to make it. My wife will go down, but we hang out down there, give full size. They get Richie and Sarah Hillman. They give full size candy bars to all the kids, and they always got a cooler of beer, so the adults get a free beer for Halloween.
That's worse some trick or treating, but how comes we always, I don't know, all my years of trick or treating with my kids, they have to wear a $30 costume with their coat over it. So
yeah,
I mean, you ever tried to save some money and just go straight to the coat?
You might as well just wear
just go straight to the coat,
because most of the time you got to cover it up.
Yep. I don't remember any. I remember trick or treating when we were younger in snow. But
well, we hit it when my kids were young, and when we was young, we hit South End really hard, and it used to be really great down there, and that was my neighborhood, so that's where I like to go. I know there's a lot of other neighborhoods around the city that are quite good for the kids and collecting candy, but I don't know how good South End is nowadays, like it was. But the kids back in 30 years ago, we'd walk away with a lot of candy for them.
It was nothing like 30 years ago because we would steal the candy. Let's be honest here. We wouldn't do much trick or treating. It would be straight.
I know the girls in the office. They wanted me to give them a shout out. I got Bree, and Larissa. They do a good job at me and finding me employees when I find the contracts and get guys lined up. So they always want to give me a shout out. And last week they made us. They had a luncheon for us. We all had to bring something, and they all made us. The girls made us wear a costume. Of course, I didn't have time to get one together, so my buddy Wes grabbed a mask for me. So we all had a good picture.
Can we get a picture to post that?
Yeah, we got a picture of it on Facebook. I'll get it to you.
We're definitely going to
have this. All of us up there at Millrides for Hire, and we keep.
It's going to be right up
trying
there
to get
in
people
the top
going.
right corner of this.
Right.
Yeah. You with a mask.
Yeah, the girls, they keep on us, whether it's Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever. They always, like the 4th of July this year, they had a big potluck for us, and they keep all us guys in the office in line.
Probably just feed you, so you guys stay working. Yeah, it's got a couple topics. We always go about Muscatine on stuff that we see because I guess the way of life is just through the chicks. But I know it's not really there, but we think it is
Yeah,
through Facebook and everything. But the roundabout that got put in over at Cedar, I loved it when it first come in. It was really handy. I went and tried it, did a couple circles through it. I thought it was cool. Muscatine got that roundabout, and then we got the one down here at the end of Mulberry and Second. That one seems to cause a little bit more congestion. I know you love it. You like to blast right through it.
Yeah, I don't like to stop. I like to go. But when the roundabouts first came, when they did that one on Cedar, plenty of times I'd be at the wire up through that area, and the traffic backed up at the stop signs it'd take you sometimes 10 minutes to get through the intersection. So when they first came out, I was not a fond fan of roundabouts.
I was.
But as I've got to use them and I've seen how the traffic flowed through them, I fell in love with them. I think you can just keep moving, and I'm not going to stop unless I got to.
I know you're crazy.
And I think they're talking about putting one down here in the future down to Carver Corner when they get that developed. And so I think it will help the traffic flow through town for everybody. So.
Well, the one down here, I mean, in the mornings I do a lap to make sure all the buildings are good and etc. But like I've been waiting, say like coming down from 2nd Street Hill, and I'll be going up towards it. And I thought you were supposed to take turns, like as you go. And if there'll be 10 cars up north, they'll unload while you're waiting. And you don't even have a chance to get in. And then I've been in it where people stop and let people in it. So what is the proper way to run the roundabout? What is the proper way?
So I think there's probably going to be
Danny Chick's version.
Yeah, it's going to be Danny Chick's version. But I think the the purpose of them is to keep flowing. You always see people posting on Facebook and on our community chats all the time that nobody knows how to run the roundabouts. We want to get rid of them. Why are we putting in another one? Things like that. But the way they should be operated is as long as when you get there and you don't have another car oncoming entering the roundabout, you should go ahead and enter and take care of your business. The only time you should stop is if a car is entering and you have and they are technically have the right of way because they're coming into your lane of traffic. So you should always try to keep the flow of traffic going. Only stop when that car has already entered and you know you need to stop. You will have those times that 10 of them in a row, they're entered, you already stopped. Those 10 are likely going to go and you're going to have to wait. But even that wait time at those times are considerably less than what you would have if you had a four-way stop sign or a stoplight.
Are they supposed to be operated like a stop sign? If you're waiting, like 4 cars stop at once, you right away, or is it just hit the gas before the next guy gets in? Because that's what I see. I mean, which I think they're fantastic. It's a loop, isn't it? It goes like,
if I see a window that I can get in, I'm going.
Okay,
I'm not want to wait. I rarely stop at a roundabout. I'll squeeze in there. I'll go. Now I'll cut in front of somebody and people will freak out on Facebook and call me out because they had to touch their brakes or something. But I think sometimes people get a little excited over things. If you can get in, go. If you got to stop, stop. Keep it flowing.
Like, okay, like the most of the traffic comes from Mississippi Drive up 2nd Street Hill. So if they do design another roundabout, what do you think about having the roundabout and just a little wider on the sides where you don't even have to touch it, where you can kind of make your natural turns around it, where you don't even have to really enter the roundabout unless you're going straight through? Like, just design it just a little different.
Well, I'd have to know. There's probably some engineering studies on that would probably play into it. But I like what you're saying.
Or why do you have a roundabout? Being negative here. You got a roundabout, which I love the sculpture in the middle, but you get 12-foot weeds in the middle of it with the pretty grass. You can't even see what's coming.
Right, that's not a good idea.
No, I mean, make it viewable.
When we first put the sculpture in, I thought it was going to be a little bit bigger. It's smaller than I expected. I thought it didn't make sense to put that in the middle of when we're trying to see traffic to make sure we can see all the way around. I don't think the sculpture after it's came in and it's smaller, but it needs to be kept maintained on your weeds and everything else because you want good view in those areas to make sure we can get through there safely.
Yeah, that's kind of like the back-in parking, down there, which...
Well, don't get me going on that.
I'm going.
I'm going.
Hold tight. Okay, back-in parking.
Well, sometimes common sense plays into making decisions, and there's a lot of times I don't think that the decision makers are using common sense when they do things, but...
Well, you got it. You got it. Back-in parking's there. So then they put, at the end of Pine, a rock statue in the middle.
That's a bad.
I've about got hit there 5 times.
That's a bad place right down here where the statue is at. When you pull up and you have to turn left to come up to 2nd Street. Off Pine. It is very dangerous. I've complained and pointed it out, and it's beautiful. One thing about our riverfront is it's beautiful. It's probably one of the most beautiful riverfronts on the river after it's been redone. But things like that statue in the middle it does hinder you from seeing oncoming traffic, and you have to creep out to make sure that it's safe. It should be moved. It should have already been moved. It just be and placed in a location that doesn't hinder the vision for drivers.
Why can't everybody think like us?
Well, that just drives me crazy because why can't everybody think like that? These are common sense decisions. Just drive down there. Yeah. Anybody drive down there, look at it. Just sometimes use your head. And it's like the back-in parking you talked of. When you pull into front-end parking and there's 8 cars behind you, you pull in, you go right in. Those 8 cars barely even have to slow down. They keep going. Now when you back in, you have to stop.
Yeah.
All the 8 cars behind you have to stop as you fiddle your car into that back-end spot.
Because you overshoot your spot, they get right on your bumper,
right.
And then you're almost like, can't back in this one. Now I gotta go a little further.
And if you're coming uptown to maybe go to Contrary or some of these other places, before you could turn right in and park. Mm-hmm. Now you got to drive to the mall, Now you got to drive to the mall, or whether you're going north or south, you got to drive 40 miles the wrong direction to turn around to park.
What about
Common sense has to play into these kind of decisions.
What about if you live up at the mall and you parked in front of Contrary?
If you live at the mall,
brewskis.
yeah, then
Now
you got to drive to Burlington. A lot more chances somebody pick you up for an OWI, and then you got to get back home.
Yeah, but no. We have it at this point. There's not much we can do about it. I don't know what it costs to repaint the lines.
To reverse the back end parking, to me, is extremely simple. You erase the lines painted on the ground, and you change the angle for front end parking. You could do it in a weekend time, and it keeps the traffic flowing better down there. Apparently, the powers that be don't want that to happen.
Well, the powers that be probably aren't drinking at Contrary.
What's that?
They're probably not drinking at Contrary that night.
No.
So, but they could do that pretty simply.
I don't think and I've been told that it may lose a spot or two if they change the lines. I struggle with that math. I'd have to see it on paper. But I think if you change the angles of the line, go to front end parking, I don't think you lose one spot, and you keep the traffic flowing, and it's much easier to park and pull out. Because when you back out, if you got front end parking, you don't back out until it's clear. So you never hinder oncoming traffic. There's a car coming, you don't back out. Now it's clear, I back out. With front end parking, you never stop the flow of traffic, or you barely slow it down. With back end, you're always slowing down or stopping traffic.
Yeah. So would you be able to see what was coming if you pulled in straight? Were you back into traffic? Would it be a safety the other way? Because at least when you back in, you can see both ways from your driver's side. But if you're backing out into traffic,
since they invented cars, we've been backing out, and I think it works pretty good. You can easily look over your shoulder, see if there's oncoming traffic.
So if they fixed it roundabouts and back-in parking, we would still live here for the rest of our lives?
Yeah, we're going to live here with back-in parking, and I hope they add 3 or 4 more roundabouts, keep the traffic going.
Yeah, I know, because you're like a race car driver in them roundabouts, and I drive slow all over town.
Here's your weather from our friend Tyson at MIWS. Don't forget to follow him on Facebook at Muscatine Weather StormTeam.
Here's your weekend forecast. Today, Muscatine experiences sunny skies with highs in the lower to mid-50s, peaking at 54 degrees with calm winds. Clouds return Saturday, bringing warmer temperatures and a high near 60, with the chance of rain late between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m., persisting through Tuesday. Monday's outlook includes potential thunderstorms. Some may be strong to severe, as the jet stream remains active, drawing moisture into the saturated atmosphere. This is Tyson Cluster from the Muscatine Iowa Storm Team.
Next week, probably the biggest week in American history. You have got the 2024 election coming up. Locally, you've did a couple things to make it easier for people. Did you tell me the other day that they can park for free for early?
Well, I brought it up, and I don't know if my comment in the supervisors meeting on Monday was the sole reason for that. Nathan Mather said he reached out and spoke to somebody, and I'm not sure if anybody else didn't. But over the last couple of weeks with early voting down at the administration office on 3rd Street, we have seen there's been a handful of people that have mentioned to me that they have gotten a parking ticket because they'll put an hour in the meter, hour and 15 minutes, and they don't expect it to take so long to vote. And early voting, because both parties have pushed it really hard this year, is through the roof. And so they'll go in, put an hour in their meter, and they'll come back out and they got a parking meeting. People get upset. They're doing their civic duty to vote. Now they got to $5 parking ticket. If you don't pay it in a couple days, it goes to 10. Sheila, my wife, was one of those people, and she was upset about it and reached out. I brought it up in the supervisors meeting on Monday. I don't know what led to the exact movement of it, but on Tuesday they put
I've seen all the meters taped off.
Yeah, they taped off all the meters. So now, if you're voting, you can go down there and park for free while you're in voting.
Do you know how many meters roughly are taped off? Or?
I don't know, but when I was at the administration office yesterday. The auditor wanted me to come down and view the process of our voting and how that all went and how busy that office is. And and how they're doing voting with nursing homes, and how they're doing with absentee ballots, and how they're doing with walk-in people voting, walking in. So I was down there for about a half hour or so yesterday going through that process with them, and they showed me, it's a busy office. They had four part-time people. So it is busy down there, and it will be. You can vote all the way the rest of the week. They will be open on Saturday. You can vote Saturday, and then, of course, you can vote again Monday at the auditor's office, and then all day Tuesday at your local polling station, whatever precinct or district you live in. But as far as in parking meters, I believe there's probably, the way it looked like there was a good 25 or 40 that might be blocked off. I didn't count them. I don't know the exact number, but it helped. It definitely helped people with having to worry about getting a ticket if they're in there a long time.
It hasn't been posted too well that people can not worry about. Because I know
they probably aren't aware of it, but yeah, they can do it.
I know I've heard a lot of people doing the early voting that it is an hour and a half wait and sometimes longer. I know Tom, my boss, went in yesterday to vote because he's leaving town, and he thought at 1:30 in the afternoon would be a good time where everybody's done with lunch, and it was still an hour wait at 1:30 in the afternoon, a few days before the election. So obviously it's a major focal point for everybody in the,
On Monday, we had, I think we was around 5,600 early voters.
That is incredible.
And we expect in Muscatine County by election day to probably be up around 8,000, 8,500. That's
What's
a pretty
normal number for, like, when you ran?
I don't know the exact number.
Not that much.
It was considerably lower than that.
It's not that much.
I mean, this is like you said, this is, a lot of people believe this is the election of our lifetimes. I mean, they say that every cycle, but this one, to me, had more of a feel that way.
This is a very unique election in my personal point, because you know a lot about both parties, because we had the Republican 4 years ago. We have what we have now. So it's not like any normal election where you don't really know the person. You already been under kind of both parties for the last 8 years. Right. So it's probably a lot easier for more people to make their choice, because you can say, were you better off 4 years ago, or are you better off now? That is the choice you have to make. And I think everybody should vote, because I hear complaining on both sides. Everybody should make their voice heard, and this is where you do it. There's no sense complaining if you don't go out and vote. You have to do your part too. If you don't like what's going on, make a change. If you like what's going on, keep what you got. But don't say a darn word about it November 7th or 6th if you didn't make your voice heard.
People need to get out and vote.
And
we lived in a polarized society. Both parties have a vision that is very unlike the others, and you got to find what party you mostly align with, and make your voice heard. I often wonder, I can't imagine anybody in America weeks ago, but let alone now, 5 days away from the election, I can't believe there's one person in America that is, if they're going to vote, that they're undecided.
Yeah.
I think, each party for presidential is spending tens of millions of dollars on commercials and rallies and all this to get their messages out. I think they could quit and go have a party with all that money, because I think everybody should. I don't think it's going to change one person's vote. I mean, I've known for years who I was going to vote for, and I think most people do. I can't believe there's undecided today in America with the way it is. But I'm sure there's a few out there, but it doesn't seem logical.
You've been through the election process trying to get elected as the county supervisor, which you did win. Congratulations. It is super. It's got to be super stressful on the family. It's got to be super stressful on the finance, because not knowing, it's expensive. We have our other chick chat in the morning that your spouse. How could you live in a house where your spouse thinks one way, you think the other? Some people say it can be done. Some people doesn't. Do you end up fighting at home because you believe in the conservative way versus the Democratic way? or politics not that important at home,
Well,
or it's
I
a
think
lot of questions because you've been through it. You know that, like, we want to be strong men and say, you live with me, you do what I say, and our wife says, you don't want supper tonight, you're going to do this. So we say, okay, let's just not talk about it.
So I think in that comment, like we do have a chick messenger group, and one of our family members brought it up yesterday morning and with the group about whether you should tell your significant other who you're voting for, and it was a wild and open debate all day long, going back and forth on everybody's opinion in our family. Now, there's so many different relationships out there in the world with couples, and lots of things work for different people. So you can perfectly have a healthy relationship in some cases with a husband that's a Republican and a wife as a Democrat, or vice versa, because either they don't care about it, or politics aren't that important, or they keep it quiet to keep the peace in the household. The biggest point of our conversation yesterday was geared on, should you tell the other person who you should vote for? And I think the majority in our family said yes. I don't think anybody was trying to control who you should vote for,
just a healthy relationship,
but to have the conversation, because it's part of a relationship, and being honest and talking about that, whether it's finances, whether it's kids, whether it's religion, whether it's politics. And I think in me and you, our opinion, and some of the others in our family think that, yeah, you share, and then if you have a situation where you got a liberal supporter and a conservative supporter in a relationship, you have that conversation, and so it works for others. And if it doesn't work for that couple, then they have to do some soul searching and have a conversation in regards to that.
The hardcore people, though, if you're hardcore conservative, hardcore liberal, whatever you are in life, I think the ones that it works for the best don't pay much attention to it, or be like, I don't like him because he's mean, or I don't like her because she's not enough experience. So let's vote for it. Let's get back to McDonald's or KFC. Let's do our thing. But then you got the other side of people that's like,
unfortunately in America, and maybe it's not unfortunately, maybe because I live and breathe politics. I mean, I got the news on basically 24/7 at my house, and it's me and my wife's. It's one of our biggest conversations. You and I talk all the time about politics. I got lots of friends. I mean, I've had a buddy this week that owns a business in town. He's called me twice to have conversations about politics and what's going on in the news cycle and things like that. So, it's a challenging situation, and there's a lot of people that just don't care about politics, but everybody should have a little bit of insight and know what's going on, because even though they don't think it does, all these decisions from local to state to federal affect our everyday lives. A lot of people don't think they can do anything. They don't think nothing changes. And a lot of things, it's hard, and a lot of things don't change. But if you get the people in there that are more geared towards your belief system and what you support, hopefully in time, if more people pay attention, you can get things to go in that direction you want. Hopefully for the better of the people. To me, it's always about representing the people and trying to do what's best for them. And when you get into politics at the higher levels, or even sometimes the local levels like we do, I think sometimes the elected officials get lost in that. And sometimes it's easy to get lost in it. So you gotta make sure you keep your focus on doing and making the best decisions for the people you represent.
So what is your answer? Should spouses tell each other who they vote for?
I think spouses 100% should be honest in who they're voting for with their spouse, and then that relationship can decide if they're comfortable with it.
Should we ask them to comment below if they think the spouses?
Yeah.
Should your spouse know who you're voting with? Comment below.
Amazingly enough, yesterday on the 5 on Fox, this was the same topic that we spoke about yesterday morning. So I was kind of chuckling with it and shared some videos with the group last night on the Chick Chat, because Jesse Waters was and Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts and the Harris campaign, or they have commercials out there because they know Trump's doing well with men, Harris is doing well with women. So Julia Roberts and Harris in their commercials are essentially pushing lie to your husband. Go in and vote for Harris. Come out, lie to him, tell him you vote for Trump. Well, that's not a way you should have a relationship. You should have, if you support a candidate, you should be strong enough in believing why you're supporting that candidate to have that conversation, and then you hash it out.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion is like, it'd be hard to sit at the supper table and, I mean, if you're lying and really doing the other thing,
Yeah, right.
what else are you lying
Right.
about and doing the other thing? So honesty in a relationship has to be the number one thing. But yeah, let's see the comments below on what you think. I mean,
Jesse
just be honest and say who you did, and they should already know you
Right.
at that point.
Yeah, deal with it. Relationships, most of them are strong enough to handle it.
Yeah.
Jesse Waters last night said, if I found out that my wife was lying to me for the last 4 years and voted for Harris, it's D-Day. It's over.
Oh boy.
that was on Fox News. That was funny.
And then when you get into, like, let's say that's your close family, and then when you get into, I mean, you brothers and all that, but uncles and aunts, the election cycle gets really stressful on people. How many family members, like, don't talk anymore because of, you vote for Trump, I'm not talking to you. You vote for Kamala, we're not talking. Yeah, I remember back when we were kids, you could vote for whoever the heck you wanted, and still, it didn't live on them so much that day of, they're a gosh darn liberal, or they're a Republican. We're not having nothing to do with them anymore. Yeah. So how many families do you think politics destroy?
That a lot. A lot of friendships and a lot of family relationships have been tested or destroyed, or they've quit talking. I think, in my opinion, we've seen that increase considerably in 2008 when Obama was elected, and then it's continued on, whether you got an Obama, you got a Trump, because the parties have separated and become so polarized on their top issues that they are really divided. America is more divided today than maybe they have been since the Civil War. That's my opinion. And since we're so divided, these I'm voting for Trump, I'm voting for Harris have become a challenging, fighting kind of situation. And even for me, with the other side, I have become more challenged with wanting to, because I'm really strong in my convictions. I know you're strong in your convictions, and the other side is very strong in their convictions. So it's driven a wedge, and I don't think that's for the better. It's for the good, but the reality of it is it's driven a wedge against families, friends, and hopefully in time we get that bridged and come back together. But we gotta start meeting on policies more in the middle.
Yeah.
Because the Republicans go too far to the right sometimes, the Democrats go too far to the left sometimes, and it draws big division in America. We got to learn how to bring those parties closer together, and hopefully someday that'll happen. Once that happens, you'll see America start coming back together.
That's all the way down to in the family level, not just America. It goes all the way down to families not talking. But that's when was the last time America was united? What's your opinion?
The last
I
time
heard Dr. Phil say this last week. So when do you think the last time?
I don't know what Dr. Phil said.
I watched it.
But the last time America was really united was after 9/11.
9/12. Yep, that's what he said.
9/12, and if God forbid something like that happens again, but when World War II happens, it brought Americans together. There was one cause, there was one nation, there was one America, and people knew that they needed to come together to make it survive and go on. And the same thing after 9/11. If you screw with this, both parties come together and we're ready to get it on. And that's maybe the best thing about America.
Yeah.
Is when the shit hits the fan, we're all one America, and we don't care about party.
And that's where I hope we get back to. I mean, we have our thinking, they got their thinking, everybody wants, but that's all the way down to, you have to, next Tuesday, you have to get out and vote.
Get out and vote, America.
Get out and vote.
Get out and vote, Muscatine.
That's super important. Then it's over. There's no more ads on TV.
For 2 weeks. The 2026 election to start 2 weeks later.
Can we at least get
It's
some
about
Christmas?
6 months later.
We're going to at least get some Christmas music.
You can get through
first.
Christmas, but then they're focused on 2026 midterms.
I mean, my 11-year-old
And I'm running again in 26, so
Do we have to hear that shit again?
I might have to put a sign in your yard after
Christ.
next Tuesday.
I thought we were done with this. Like, I got holes all over my yard from election signs and all that, and I'm ready for it to be over too. I want the best result for the country, but that's what we need, and we want to. This weekend is going to be cold and rainy. I think it's going to get colder by the minute now. So, any plans for you this weekend?
Well, this weekend, Friday, tomorrow, my grandson, I have a grandson and two granddaughters that live down in Kansas City, and he has his flag, he's 6, he has his flag football tournament, and I've been watching some of his videos from week to week, and I've
Any good?
and he's not bad.
Not bad.
He's not bad. I mean, he's a little guy, and he's faster than I expected. He's moving around good. He scored a couple touchdowns. He can catch good. His dad works with him on, like when we worked with our kids when they was little on catching. He can catch, and my daughter was down there last weekend, and he broke one, and he made about a 60-yard run. He gets to about the 10-yard line. Bigger kid catches up with him, misses his flag, pulls his pants down.
Oh, Jesus.
So he's got his butt hanging out there, but he almost made a touchdown. He had a heck of a run.
Yeah.
But so I'm
with
excited
his
to
pants on his ankles.
I'm excited to get down there and watch him play. He's going to be a good little football player, I hope.
Yeah. Well, safe travels. Enjoy this weekend, and we'll be right back.